Here's Gabriel. Steps up in the pocket, looking for the first down, has running room and more. Gabriel down the sideline. Burst of speed at the 20. Cuts it back. Dylan Gabriel, touchdown. OU, 61 yards.
Welcome to the Big 1-2 on 365 Sports.
Johnson and Dabney in the game. Reese, right up the gut, and it's a touchdown for Baylor.
Welcome in to the Big 1-2 here on 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Royden Ogletree of KWTX joins me here. And Royden, it was an interesting week in the Big 12. And it was an interesting week, maybe for some of the new teams that are coming in, like BYU getting trounced by Oregon. Especially if you're a Baylor fan, what does that mean about your game?
For you personally?
Yeah. I don't think the transitive property is something you can do. We're repping Kansas here this week because we can't.
Official team of the Big 1-2, the Big 1-2 show.
Yeah,
we're usurping them from Travis Roeder.
Yeah, they're. I mean, for real would be a jump, but they're a team that you can't rubber stamp anymore.
No, and at the very least, they're entertaining to watch and they're fun. And I keep saying this, they're going to ruin someone's day. And they ruined Houston's day the other. Yeah. They were literally making people fight on the sideline with their own team. So that's how you know your things are going well if you're Kansas. No, they're right at the point of. I mean, it's only year. What is it? Year 2 in this rebuild for Lance Leipold. Year 2 in this rebuild for Lance Leipold, and they are going to absolutely crush some hopes and dreams of a potential Big 12 contender. Now, I'm not saying that they. Well, I guess they're 3-0, so they may have an outside chance of the Big 12, but. I don't think they're going to get past these teams like Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Baylor, so on and so forth. But they may be in that contention for the middle of the pack. And right now, it looks like the middle of the pack is jam-packed, and it's anybody's to sort of come out in the wash where, 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to be in the Big 12.
Yeah. Right now, I think there are two clear favorites in the league.
Yeah.
Oklahoma and Oklahoma State have kind of separated themselves. But as we've seen with both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State over the years, and I know Oklahoma has a new coach and all that, there's an ebb and flow to the season. Look, Baylor started slow last year. They look to me like they're starting almost exactly the same way. 42-7 over Texas State is what you should do.
Yeah.
But that was not a 42-7 oh my gosh blowout.
Yeah, if you were able to watch the entire game, which I know a lot of Baylor fans watch the entire game, but if you were paying attention to Oklahoma, Nebraska, or some other ones in this timeline, it wasn't really a great weekend for big marquee games. But if you were the Baylor fans and you were watching this game, I saw a lot of people tweeting, and myself included, were tweeting, how, is it okay to be kind of upset about a 35-point win, especially when your team was favored by 30 points?
Look,
I think you can do both.
Yeah. Look, let's just, I'm going to run through and let's play this game here. We'll run through the games real quick. We'll tell you the biggest problem with every team.
Sure.
We're going to be negative, but we'll also be positive.
Absolutely. We thrive off negativity.
Yeah, so we're going to be negative. We're going to give you negatives and positives here. Okay, Oklahoma, Nebraska, 49-14. I don't see any negatives with Oklahoma right now other than they haven't played anybody, so we don't really know yet.
Yeah, we were talking about, they'll actually have to play some big D1 players, but also Nebraska looks like kind of the worst team ever. They came out with their hair on fire for a little bit, and then all of a sudden Oklahoma was like, oh, wait, y'all don't have a coach, and y'all have been getting beaten by, FCS programs and things like that, so we're going to just be better than you, which is kind of reductive to say, but we have better players. We are the better team. Yeah. So it's hard. Yeah, their schedule has been quote unquote weak to begin with. Dylan Gabriel looks incredible, but also Nebraska can't tackle. So I don't know.
So again, we don't really know about Oklahoma State yet, or Oklahoma yet. Oklahoma State, I think we kind of do, but they also have not played a big dog yet. So the two teams from is Oklahoma the Panhandle State? What are they? The Sooners, the Sooner State.
Sooner State.
The Sooner State. The Sooner State. We don't really know yet, but it looks to me like Oklahoma State is going to be, much like Oklahoma, a force to be reckoned with.
Right, and I think their offense is back on track. I mean, they were scoring a lot of points last year, but this year they're absolutely, like, Spencer Sanders is putting it up.
And I think their defense will probably dip a little bit from what it was last year, but we don't know. Again, once they get in a conference play, we'll know.
Well, we were saying that their defense had dipped a little bit after giving up 44 to Michigan State. Maybe they were playing with their food now against Arizona State, who RIP&P just fired their coach. Giving up 17 points, and then Arkansas Pine Bluff 7 points. So it's tough to say where their defense is going to be right now. I think they'll still be very good. And I think Spencer Sanders has finally maybe taken that next step. So we'll see.
Yeah. Texas Tech loses to NC State 27-14. I picked Texas Tech in this one. I was mostly picking it's a bland NC State team.
Man,
but
tough.
Texas Tech is fun. They're fun.
Yeah.
They're going to make it fun. They're just not all the way there yet. They're kind of incomplete.
No, and I think the main thing about them right now is quarterback play. If we're picking negativity for all of these teams, it's definitely quarterback play. Again, 2 interceptions for Smith. Morton came in through an interception as well. NC State's been salty, especially at home over the past few years. So it's no slight to Texas Tech to go in there and lose 27-14. NC State didn't actually look very good on offense. They kind of it was a war of attrition for a while. But right now it's who's under center for Texas Tech, and will your defense be able to keep people out of the end zone?
Yeah. Baylor rolls past Texas State 42-7. We've talked about that. Baylor good. Defense is still pretty good. Their secondary needs some more time. They got to work on that secondary. Front seven finally started to show out in the second half of that game against Texas State for the first time really this year. Bad for Baylor. They've got a lot of injuries. And 2, they don't have wide receivers that are making plays right now.
And at some points just not even getting open.
Yeah.
A couple of guys made some catches along the side. One that got overturned, which I guess we're trying to do the what is a catch thing now again with Baylor.
Yeah.
But a couple of guys made a few plays, including 6-year senior Gavin Holmes came in. And now you're kind of asking, like, why hasn't he been playing more at wide receiver? He scored a touchdown mostly due to just sheer will for him. I think the biggest problem for me outside of the wide receiver group, and also Ben Sims was injured, so that's a huge pass catcher that was not in that game. At points, the secondary was getting picked apart on these quick throws and slants over the minute. That touchdown, the one lone touch, it's hard to complain about one lone touchdown, but the one lone touchdown that they gave up to Texas State was just a quick slant over the middle, and the Baylor defense was just nowhere to be found. They were not there. They weren't even in the same area code. Now, when Dylan
Doyle came back,
Doyle, yes.
Everything
changed. He got people in line. He played like 2 or 3 series, and it was all fine. But my 2 problems are with the defense is that, 1, the secondary has the ability to get torched, and 2, they're like a half second late on their pass rush all time. Finally, TJ Franklin kind of started stepping up and being the pass rusher that they want him to be, and he got to the quarterback a couple of times. But that pass rush is like a half second late getting to the quarterback. So that's going to be something to watch versus Iowa State.
All right, Texas and UTSA. This game was actually better than a 41-20 score indicates. I think Texas, especially with Bijan Robinson, just kind of ran UTSA, who's had back-to-back double overtime games going into this one. They just kind of ran them down a little bit. But Jeff Traylor went into Austin and put a charge into the horns a little bit with, oh, man, these guys are not kidding.
Was it 17-7 at one point?
Yeah.
I
mean, they had a
nervous time in Austin.
It was nervous time. Like, oh, man, there's a hangover. Maybe you don't get over it. Hudson Card is fine. I mean, he can get them through until Ewers is back. But this team, I don't think we can judge Texas until they have Ewers back and what they thought they were going to be. But they have the skill players to win. I'm still not sold on Texas's defense. I'm still not, even with Gary Patterson and all that, writing up game plans, I'm still not sold on their depth. I think that will get them as the season goes on. And we'll see in the Big 12 season. But good for Texas. They're 2-1. And
this is where you're supposed to be. I think they took a huge jump in the rankings after losing to Alabama, which was interesting, but good for them. This is what you're supposed to beat UTSA. But it felt like it was playing with your food for a little bit, and then they were just like, oh wait, we have probably like a Doak Walker candidate in the backfield.
You have a Heisman candidate in Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
You've got Roshan Johnson. You've got all these guys. I mean, like that's what got UTSA does not have those guys.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, you just need Hudson Card to kind of be a game manager in this game, and he didn't turn the ball over. Give it to your bell cow. Let him work.
Yeah. West Virginia gets their first win of the season, 65-7 over Towson. Neil Brown can quiet the horde for a week, but he's got Virginia Tech, a very average team this week. That is it's kind of like another version of that Miami A&M game. It's the all average bowl.
This might be the canary in the coal mine for Neil Brown in West Virginia, especially because what did Virginia Tech lost to
ODU?
Yeah, Old Dominion earlier in the season. So that was not great. So I don't know how good either of these teams actually are. We'll get to picks later on in the segment, but good for them for putting up points.
Yeah. Let's see. Iowa State rolls past Ohio. That's Baylor's opponent this week, 11 o'clock in Ames. That's going to be a tough game. It's 2.5 points right now in favor of Iowa State, which is essentially the de facto home field advantage.
Yeah. To pick
spread
'em.
that they give. Yeah, so it's kind of a pick 'em with them getting a home field advantage. I mean, again, Hunter Deckers looks pretty good. This is a good team that's kind of getting better, I think, Iowa State. But we'll see this week how good they really are because
Deckers to Hutchinson is going to be, I'm calling it right now, is just going to be a problem for Baylor. And you might have kicked my headphones off. Sorry. Live TV, folks. No, so Deckers to Hutchinson you may just have to live with having them eat the entire game and stop everything else. I don't know how to judge Iowa State off of playing Ohio, historically one of like the worst programs in D1 football. Sorry to my coworkers who went to Ohio, but that's a great, potent combination, and it's going to win them a few football games. We'll see this weekend.
We talked about Kansas beating Houston earlier in Kansas week and skip that one, although they thumped them. I mean, they thumped Houston. So that wasn't like an overtime win. They thumped Houston.
I'm done picking against Kansas. Yeah. I'll tell you that right now. I'm done. And I'm done picking Houston, too. What happened?
We did get one negative comment on the show last week. Two. One, we didn't talk enough about Oklahoma. And two, we didn't mention Kansas State versus Missouri. Well, Kansas State lost 17-10 to Tulane. So that is the official game of the week of the Big 12.
Yikes is what you call it. Big yikes.
Yeah, they've got issues on offense in the Little Apple. When we come back, we sing more praises of Kansas and say, how is this going on? This is the Big 1-2, brought to you by Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Paul Catalina, Roy Ogletree, back after this.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality great craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Welcome back to the Big 1-2 here on 365 Sports. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It's the only way that Royden is allowed to leave this room if we get two likes per hour.
I've been here since last week.
There's a very spacious closet.
It's filled with all these helmets that they interchange and everything back here. I sleep with those. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. He can't leave. So please, so that we can let him out of the room because he's really starting to get gamey. But you know what's not gamey? Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby.
What a transition.
I know. It's great. Here's the thing. Normally a sponsor would be mad that I did that, but these guys will love that. It's a great place. I've been riding with Shorty since the day they opened, February 1st.
I asked you this 2 weeks ago. You're right on top of it.
I'll say like 2008 or 9.
Eventually we'll find out.
We'll get Shorty's birthday. But yeah, they're great. And if you're coming to town for a Baylor game, if you're just watching us and going, where's a cool place to hang? In Waco, Shorty's Pizza Shack. Very chill vibe. It's hard to be in a bad mood at that place.
No, and I will continue to say, like, after 1 or 10 drinks, you'll have a great time.
Yeah, you'll have great. It's just
or if you just order pizza, that usually puts me in a good mood on its own.
Yeah. So that's our sponsor, Shorty's Pizza Shack. They're great. So go by and see them. They deliver and stuff too because everybody does now because
have
of the apps.
to.
The apps. It's easy to, you can get on the app for anything. You can meet your future wife. You can get food that wasn't normally delivered before.
I need cigarettes and.
Yeah, they'll do it for you. We don't have to, you don't have to leave our house anymore. A team that should leave their house and should be proud to leave their house. Right here behind me, the Kansas Jayhawks at 3-0, something they haven't done in a very long time. And this is not a fluke 3-0. They played Duke this week, also 3-0. And it's not a fluke either. Mike Elko's kind of come in there and righted the ship year one from A&M. But, and if they do beat Duke this week, that's 4-0. That means to get to a bowl in year 2 of Lance Leipold, they have to find 2 more wins down the stretch.
Easily. I mean, I would call that I know if you're a Kansas fan and you've been watching this show for the first couple of weeks, I have picked against Kansas. I am now a believer. I am now worshiping the Jayhawk. What's the chant that you do?
Rock Chalk.
Yeah, Rock Chalk. I'm gonna be singing that. KU, just walking down the street like that.
My fiance,
commercial.
My fiance is a KU alum, so I even got her. She's kind of the stereotypical Kansas alum of basketball season matters, football season it's there, and that stings for a football player. It stings, but. Even we turned on the Houston game the other day. They scored a touchdown, and she's hopping out of her chair. So, again, winning breeds this kind of stuff. And because of that offense, their defense is not great.
No.
And that's what's going to undo them against a team like Oklahoma, against a team,
It reminds me of those Baylor defenses where they had 1 or 2 players that they got that are like 3-4-star prospects, and they have a safety that had an interception of Clayton Tune. I'm sorry, I'm missing his name, but it reminds me of like when Baylor got Ahmad Dixon or something like that, and then all of a sudden you had a couple of playmakers that would disrupt some things, but they're still getting burned on several plays.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I will say that early Bryles teams, that team that played Illinois and got absolutely punched in the gut in the Texas Bowl.
Yeah, I was there.
This team reminds me a little bit of that, of where if you're not careful, you're going to turn around and it's going to be 35 points on the board. Now, if you refocus and realize they're not going to hold the ball for that long, then you can probably get some of that back and reestablish the game. But if you're not ready for it, if you don't know going into play Kansas this year that you are going to have to score, then you're going to lose. And I think that West Virginia and Houston maybe undersold that a little bit because they thought, well, they did it that was that week.
Yeah.
But now I
they
think
didn't get into
everybody needs to know.
FCS team. We'll be better.
Yeah, but they're not. Jacob Wilson, our producer, Jacob was around in those Bryles days a little bit.
Oh yeah, those are my prime college years.
Yeah. So this Kansas team is a little like that, aren't they? Like where they like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you decide like, oh well, that was the other team. We're not going to give up 42 points. No, you're gonna. You better score 48.
Whenever they start facing your Oklahomas and your Oklahoma States, they really need to score every single time they touch the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what Baylor had in that year. And I remember when they beat Kansas State, and it was like the biggest deal for them to get in a bowl game. They had to score every possession because they could not stop anybody. As a matter of fact, when Phil Bennett came in, his goal was, I just want one stop per quarter. So if we're going to have 4 possessions and they're going to have 4 possessions, if we get one stop per quarter, then we're going to win by 28. And then it was, if we get one stop for half, we'll win by 10. You know, and then it got to the point of like, if we just get one stop in this game, we're going to win. But
all it takes is a couple of players having the faith that maybe we can turn this around. And Jalen Daniels is one of those players that is just absolutely unequivocally dynamic. And like they said it on the broadcast, and maybe they were being a little hyperbolic, but you got to start thinking at points he's going to end the season, and probably he'll make a few mistakes here and there. He throws some dying balls here and there, but they scheme him to get his arm in space and play well, and he had like 14 completions, 3 of them were touchdowns. So I mean, he's an absolutely dynamic player, and you got to start thinking, like I was saying on their broadcast, that Big 12 awards, things of that sort. He is that type of player for Kansas. And they were throwing touchdowns to like their 5th running back on the depth chart the other day. You absolutely, like, everyone is bought in to this Lance Leipold regime already. The problem is that, are you going to be able to stop a running back coming out of the backfield?
Yeah. Okay, and here's the other problem for Kansas. So what they have to hope is that Lance Leipold is more like Dave Aranda than Lane Kiffin. Because if he gets Kansas to a bowl, there's a school also in the Midwest that would love to have him.
I swear, Paul, I was just about to ask you about that because I think Smokey, he'd get a little happy.
Yeah, look, if you're going to say that you can come in, if you do at Kansas, if you go to Nebraska, what you do at Kansas, that's going to be the dividend is going to pay off way more because Nebraska football is the lifeblood of the entire state.
Right. You don't have to compete with a Kansas State who has been historically better than you.
But also, like, you know, if you asked, and I would ask this to Amanda, I'm the same way about Florida State football, my alma mater. Look, if you told me that none of the other sports were going to be good for a decade, but we win 10 college football national titles, I'd be like, all right, fine.
I'll make that deal with the devil.
That's how it is. And I love all the other sports. It's just the one I love the most is that one, you know. Yeah. And for Kansas fans, if you told them, and I think they've made this deal with the devil, look, we don't care about anything else. If the men's basketball team is consistently good and consistently competing, and they were just about at the point where they had to go back and be like, listen, we didn't say like constantly getting close to the end and then losing. We need to win one here. Mm-hmm. And they won it this year in basketball. They'd trade all that. So in Nebraska, like you are going to the program that is the lifeblood of the state.
Yeah, I don't want to sell off Lance Leipold like that quickly to a team that and a organization, but a school that is in disarray completely, and it seems like Kansas is giving Leipold all that he needs to make a winning football team.
They're giving him facilities, they're giving him money, they're doing all those things.
I think Nebraska will do that, but I think they're also in like a huge disarray with their administration as it concerns the athletic program too.
Yeah, they just brought in Trev Alberts a year ago, so I mean he's new to the program as the athletic director, and you know, like, look, if Matt Rule gets fired in Carolina, my
trendy pick.
with each loss, look, there will be rebuild jobs. There's a couple out there already right now, right?
Yeah.
Rebuild jobs at big places in Power 5 jobs. Arizona State's one of them, and Nebraska's one of them. I think Matt Rule in Nebraska makes sense if he's not going to be an NFL coach. You know, and I'm a big Matt Rule guy. I like Matt.
You might not be able to step foot.
But I might not be able to, like, you can't. In the NFL, you got to win. I mean, everywhere you got to win. And the NFL doesn't wait around.
Yeah.
As much as the owner may say he wants to.
I was going to say Charlotte, but you may not be able to step foot there.
I've been in a couple of Panthers podcasts over the years.
Talking about Matt Rule?
Talking about Matt Rule and talking about things. And like I said, I like the guy. He was great to us. He's had him on our show tons of times. But,
it's not the National Football League. It's the not for long.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough. And do I think he'll probably, I think he's a guy who will learn from his mistakes and, take another NFL job 10 years from now and probably win. But, or he can go back to college and maybe rebuild Nebraska because teams will want him to do that. So, but Kansas, again, if Lance Leipold stays, and I think there's a good chance he does because this is a guy who was at Buffalo. I mean, he was at, I don't think he might be a little bit Matt Campbell.
It seems like they have the capacity to make. College basketball is a different animal. You'll have teams in the middle of or Gonzaga, for instance, can maintain these Hall of Fame coaches. Football's a little bit different, where that doesn't quite work that way. But it seems like they have the capacity and the want to pay these coaches good money, and including huge buyouts, which they're still paying. But
facility wise, they've committed, which they didn't do with any of the guys they're paying huge buyouts to. They're building new football extensions and facilities, and they're doing stuff with the stadium. So Kansas is bought into football. They're bought into it. I'm convinced that they're going to do everything they can to keep Lance Leipold to stay. They gave him an extension already before after the first game for a year. So I think I'm optimistic that he'll stay there. I want him to stay there. I want coaches to stay places that they're successful a long time. And I do think sometimes the grass is not always greener. If you can be at Kansas right now and have the excitement building and the program, if Lance Leipold wins at Kansas, it can be like Scott Drew at Baylor, where that's his program. A ton of people can come and be like, hey, Scott, we have big basketball, like Indiana. Mm-hmm. Come to big basketball U and fix us. And he's like, no. That'll always be a Bobby Knight's program. Right. Baylor is mine. This is mine.
I'm going to have my name on the floor of the new stadium. That's
Lance Leipold, if he builds Kansas football, just like Kansas State across the state.
That's Lance Leipold Stadium.
But that's Bill Snyder's program.
This is going to be the most, I'm calling it now, this is going to be the most people that have been at a Kansas football game in a decade this weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When we come back, we preview this week in the Big 12. Some very interesting matchups. We're kind of done with the duds. Now. It's getting real.
Nervous time.
This is the Big 1-2, brought to you by Shorty's Pizza Shack on 365 Sports.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to the Big 1-2. Paul Catalina, Roy Ogletree, Jacob Wilson producing. Emery Winter and Jack McKenzie still in the studio. Emery's usually here. He's the one who has to air out the closet when Royden's stuck in there.
Help me. I've been here for a
Wait,
week.
Emery doesn't live here?
We've been sharing the closet.
No, he's in the other one. He's in the water heater closet. That one's even tougher. So
Steamy in there.
it is. Plus, that's where we keep a lot of boxes. But he sleeps in the biggest one, so he's fine. He likes it. It's like a fort for him. All right, this week in the Big 12, starting on Thursday night, the first of I don't know if it's 2 or 3 Thursday games. I know they play Baylor on a Thursday for West Virginia.
West Virginia always seems to be the one roped into these Thursday games.
Second of 3 Thursday games for them. Sorry, I forgot about the backyard brawl was on Thursday.
Right.
I don't know why I thought it was on Friday. It was probably because I didn't get to watch like the first half of it because I was busy doing something. So I assume it's on Friday when high school football chokes the life out of me. But
tell us how you really feel about high school football.
it's just really busy for me.
Right, sure.
But they play Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Lane Stadium, a tough place to play. Virginia Tech under Brent Pine, their new coach.
Losing to Old Dominion is tough. I don't know why we're beating around the bush.
They're 2-1. Look, they lost to ODU. They've beaten Wofford, and they'll beat Boston College. So they don't have a signature win yet. This is going to be a very even game, in my opinion. These are two teams that are probably about at the same spot. I think West Virginia, and we'll do our picks later, this is a good opportunity for them to get over the hump and then get through the rest of their schedule, which only gets way tougher. And they've already played. They're one of the few teams in conference that have played an actual conference game.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost it to Kansas. They lost a good team in Pitt. They've got Texas on the road after Virginia Tech on the road. They've got Baylor at home, a team they've always beaten at home on the 13th. They've got Texas Tech on the road. They've got Iowa State on the road, Oklahoma State on the road. Those are going to be tough. And like I said before, Neil Brown, I think, kind of needs this one. I think he needs one to keep his head above water.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were putting him on the hot seat kind of early, even prematurely before the season, and a lot of people, that are up there. I have a cousin that goes to shout out Ryan. I have a cousin that goes to West Virginia, but he was saying, I don't know if it's that crazy here when you're actually here, but if you look on the internet, everybody would say that Neil Brown is fighting for his life. I don't know if we don't have any information to say that was the case.
He's got a big buyout, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so to predict this game is going to be tough. West Virginia is going off at -2.5 at Virginia Tech. It just depends on if good JT Daniels shows up.
Yeah.
Is good or bad JT Daniels going to show up?
Yep. All right, let's talk so we can wrap Kansas up for the day until we make the pick. Kansas and Duke. This is a great basketball series, but now it's 2 undefeated teams. And Mike Elko, defensive mind, Lance Leipold, offensive mind. We'll see, how these two, trucks collide here.
Kansas a 9-point favorite at home. Duke is, they've beaten Northwestern, NC and Temple.
Yeah.
So they're not playing any world beaters. Obviously, Northwestern is better than, or is always pretty consistent under that regime.
Yeah,
but,
Pat Fitzgerald. Yeah.
Yeah, but 31-23 over Northwestern, I guess, is a good win. At home, probably the most hype surrounding a Kansas game in a long time, because now people actually have eyeballs on you. I don't know if Duke can stop how good JT Daniels is. He had 123 rushing yards the other day.
Yeah.
I just think this scheme is built for him, and he's been performing under it. I don't know if Duke is actually going to be able to keep up with talent-wise, actually, even for Kansas.
Yeah. All right, the last of the non-conference game of the sked this week. SMU hosts TCU. This is kind of an interesting one, like sub-storylines. The former SMU coach is the TCU coach. The former SMU coach, before that SMU coach's son, is the TCU quarterback in Chandler Morrison. I don't even know if Chandler Morrison is going to play this week.
He didn't play last week.
He didn't play last week. So there's those connections. The quarterback at SMU was at Oklahoma, Tanner Mordecai. He's played really well. He'll throw some picks sometimes, but SMU won this game last year in grand fashion. The there was the whole that game I think got Gary Patterson fired because there was the whole
kerfuffle you were going to say
on the field afterwards, and Jerry Kill fell over, and Gary Patterson lost into his tinfoil hat about like they planned to run over Jerry Kill, like they're just sitting around going like, listen, I don't like any of those people in purple, but that guy over there, that's the one we got to get,
right?
The one who's got a health condition the whole world knows about. We'll go get that guy. Like that just was like the most ridiculous thing in the world. And SMU called Gary Patterson the carpet. Like, no, here's the video. Your guys knocked him over. So
they did. Where's the second shooter? They did the JFK thing to him.
Yeah, of course, like when you're a guy like Gary Patterson and nothing you ever say or do is wrong in your own mind, then you can just kind of like walk away and like just ignore it and not have to admit it. But
hey, he's getting paid good money to scheme up crazy schemes in Texas, but this game isn't about
and do open mics on 6th Street.
This game isn't about Gary Patterson.
No, it's not. It's about SMU and TCU. So I just think SMU is going to have too much offense for him right off the bat. I don't know what TCU. We don't know who TCU is yet.
TCU played. I mean, speaking of some of the worst teams of all time, or D1 teams,
they played Colorado and Tarleton.
Colorado. I was watching them the other. They're bad. They are very, very bad, and. So I don't know if we quite know what this TCU team is. They're probably going to put up a lot of points, but so will SMU. I think Tanner Mordecai will probably show out in this game. If I had to imagine, it's at home.
I'll tell you. So a lot of, for people who don't know, there's a lot of Central Texas flavor in this game. Tanner Mordecai went to Midway High School, led them to a state finals championship game. They lost that game. It was the only bad game they played all year, was in the state championship game. His high school teammate across the way from him is the best player that TCU has in Travius Hodges Tomlinson. Is fantastic for TCU. So they'll be competing against each other for the second year in a row. And on the other side, for TCU on offense is Quentin Johnson, the receiver from Temple, who is excellent and is going to really make it hard for SMU. But
it's tough sorry.
Travius handled him when they weren't teammates. So, but that's the last I saw him play poorly in his life. And since then, he's been really, really good.
It's tough to predict this game. I mean, is it a real home game? SMU, TCU at home, how much they separated by like 30 miles. But like, it's tough to predict this game when SMU is lost to Maryland. Now, granted, Maryland is 3-0. Look like they've been playing decent football. But that's a game, if you're at where this SMU program thinks they are, that you should win. So it's going to be it's kind of tough for me to actually predict who's going to walk away with this. And we'll see this in predictions too.
Yeah. And all right, getting into the conference schedule now. Baylor and Iowa State, 11 o'clock kick in Ames. This is a very evenly matched game, in my opinion. I think it's right to be at 2.5.
Yeah.
It's essentially a pick 'em. Both teams have questions. Both teams need answers. But both teams are still pretty good.
Right. And there was talk that maybe that this Iowa State team, I was going to say ISU, but this Iowa State team was going to be down this year, considering how much they lost from years past. Breece Hall, maybe their running game isn't quite as good, but their passing game. I know you had like a 18-year quarterback that just left, but your passing game is tremendously better without him. And like I said earlier, that combination of Deckers to Hutchinson is going probably to wear out Baylor's young secondary. If you're a Baylor fan, look, you want to have eternal optimism, but also watch out because I don't see. And also, Ames has been a house of horrors for Baylor forever, and normally that game is at night and weird and wet and rainy and whatever. So an 11 a.m. kick. I don't know. We'll see, but it's been a house of horrors.
It's probably better than playing at night, which they'll have to do at West Virginia. At a game West Virginia is going to need badly, and a place they've never won. At least they've won at Ames before. They've never won.
Those night games on like a Thursday are always rough.
In the mountains.
Yeah.
People drinking stuff they made in a still. It's just ridiculous.
I had this one for my bathtub, aged 5 years.
Exactly. That's not like when you go to West Virginia on a Thursday night. Believe me, they're not just throwing down Busch Lights. They are they are drinking stuff.
That'll make you go blind.
Yeah. They're drinking stuff that, like, the Dukes of Hazzard were running. Like, that's what they're doing.
You need something to start your car with? We got it in the back. It's fine.
Yeah. Take a hit off. It's blueberry flavored. You'll like it. Texas at Texas Tech. This one I think is going to be probably a pretty fun game,
right?
Overall, because it is at Jones A&T. I just think that when it comes down to it, Tech probably does not have an answer for Bijan Robinson.
No, and also I think that they gave up 20 points. They were down 17, but eventually their defense figured it out. There was some concern that Overshone may be.
Well, he did get arrested, and there's a whole thing.
I think he'll play in this game. I haven't.
If we're going to start suspending guys for less than 2 ounces of weed, I mean, I don't know, man.
I mean, Paul, do you know what Ron White refers to 2 ounces of marijuana as being out of marijuana?
No marijuana.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I just.
It was a weird situation where it was an arrest several months ago or something, and he had to go walk through the jail. So that was interesting, but he should play.
Like scared straight. Is that what
basically
doing?
It was like, hey, look. But I think he'll probably play, so that will help their defense. It just comes down to if Texas Tech's quarterbacks can limit their turnovers, and even in games they've won, they haven't been able to do that. So I still think Texas comes away with this game, even in a raucous Jones AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, they'll fight their way through the tortillas, and they'll make it. So
no, I'm not going to go there. Some would say batteries too, but that's unfounded. Sorry.
Yeah, that's Philadelphia. That's Philadelphia that does that
to Santa Claus.
Yeah, to everyone, to everyone.
Kansas State,
at Oklahoma. Kansas State's got to find a whole lot of offense in a hurry. In 4 days, they've got to figure out how to score a bunch of points, because even in a down game, Oklahoma's going to score 30.
Yeah, Kansas State's defense has been pretty good to start the season, obviously, but I don't like this past game when you were able to shut down Deuce Vaughn. What else is going on with that offense?
Yeah.
I don't think when you're throwing that many times with Adrian Martinez.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're throwing that many times with Adrian Martinez, 21 of 31 for 150 yards. So that's never great when you're throwing 31 times. That's like Davis Mills stat lines right now. So I don't think that you're gonna have success against Oklahoma, no matter how good they are right now. We don't quite know, but I don't think you're going to have success with Adrian Martinez throwing 31 times for 150 yards.
By the way, quick super chat here for $10. Thank you to Big 12 Sports and Smack, a friendship group. I'd never heard of Shorties until hearing from Paul and Sick 365. They really do have some great food, quite honestly. Yes, I do. And coming soon, thank you, Scotty B, to Hewitt Drive. Not sure when that'll actually be, but they're going to be out there in Hewitt, which is going to change a lot of lives.
I might actually move my my living quarters from this closet to their prep room over there.
Yeah, I'll tell your wife I'm sorry, but you signed a contract.
Yeah, that's where I have to live now, Caitlin. I'm sorry.
Just you signed a contract. I mean, you didn't read it, your fault. But yeah, thank you for that, and always thank you to Shorties. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. You know what? We'll tell you how tough we think it's going to be in the next segment, because our picks.
That is what's known as a deep tease to people in the radio business.
A little inside baseball right there for you on a football show. This is the big one too. 365 Sports.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Welcome back. Final segment of the Big 1-2 here on 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Roy Ogletree, Jacob Wilson producing. And, all right, it's time for our picks, Royden. And this is.
I'm always right.
Here's the deal. We are not. I'm going to start a new tradition because we haven't done it the last 2 weeks. If you want to know what we did last week, go back and find it yourself. Like and subscribe. We don't want to tell you our record.
Oh, I'm undefeated.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
We want to create,
as I've picked against Kansas every single week.
Some
right?
mythos. Here's the deal. I did the show with JD Piquel last year, who is a fantastic. He's on on3.com right now. Fantastic college sports expert. I absolutely beat his brains into the picks. True or false, Jack? I did. Beat his brains in. So
there's football knowledge and then there's gambling knowledge. This real world knowledge right here.
Yeah, it wasn't even just that. Sometimes he just got too excited about certain teams. One of them wears burnt orange.
Oh. Yeah, yikes.
I will buy it. And I'm this way with teams I even like. Mm-hmm. I will buy it when you show it to me. And my rule as a fan, and you can tell me if it's snobby or not, I don't care if it is. Any season that doesn't end in you hoisting a trophy, I'm not going to remember warmly.
Like a trophy?
The trophy.
The trophy. Okay, I was going to say like.
You know me, like you're an Astros fan, I'm a Red Sox fan.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, there's been 4 good Red Sox seasons in my lifetime.
Oh, that's tough. I tend to agree.
Yeah. There have been 3 good Cowboy seasons. There have been 3 great Florida State seasons. I've gotten to experience a lot of good things. But
what if it's like the Rockets and you root for them even though you were embryo whenever they won?
Embryonic win. I don't know. That's tough. In fact, I'll tell you this. This is how spoiled I am. The only 2 things I want to see in my life, because I'm also a Spurs fan. And the only 2 things I want to see is I want to see Florida State win the College World Series, which they've been to like 20 times and never won. And I want to see their basketball team win a championship. That one, it's just kind of like a pipe dream. That's kind of on the, like they're Sweet 16 at best and they're a good year. So
I have faith in you.
Yeah. So as a fan, I'm pretty spoiled, but that's how I come across when it comes to these things. All right, we got to make our picks rapid fire. I've wasted 2 minutes of this segment just on a vanity project. So let's start out with.
We only count wins. That's all we can.
Yeah. West Virginia at Virginia Tech. I'm taking West Virginia this one.
Yeah, same. I think that I think for the past for this past game, we got good JT Daniels, and I think we'll probably continue to get good JT Daniels. He's had 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I don't know how good Virginia Tech actually is, but by the same token, we don't really know how good West Virginia is. But yeah, I'll take them in this game. They're going off at a 2.5-point favorite. Give me the Volunteers.
Yeah.
I keep saying Volunteers.
Mountaineers.
I keep getting Tennessee.
Country Road.
Yeah. Country Road, not Rocky Top. Different.
We can move on from this.
Different John Denver song. I wish that West Virginia and Tennessee would play every year in the John Denver Bowl.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense in my brain.
Yeah. All right.
This is not a bit. I'm actually just this stupid.
Baylor and Iowa State. Royden, you and I both have Iowa State in this game. Baylor's road woes give me pause.
Yep.
Baylor's playmakers give me pause. And that's what I think the difference in what's probably going to be a ridiculously close game.
Yeah, it could be. I think that we saw in this past game that Dave Aranda's really, really good at making second half adjustments. That's kind of an underrated bit about his coaching, especially on the defensive end. And so once they found out that their backs were getting exposed, they made some adjustments and they stopped Texas State, which you should be able to stop Texas State from doing what they were doing. I just don't think – I think that Iowa State has the playmakers to expose that even if you make adjustments. And Baylor's secondary, we forget, is very young. Freshmen and sophomores starting all across that. And especially Christian Morgan was out this past game, and so even younger in that secondary. Baylor has to get to the quarterback. Wide receivers have to get open. It'll be interesting to see if they stick with Richard Reese or if Tay McWilliams is going to be back.
I think Tay McWilliams is probably not going to be back.
Right.
I think you're going to see Richard Reese and Squirrel Williams again. I think you'll see a smattering of Quaylon Jones, although we didn't see Quaylon Jones.
That was the weirdest thing. We didn't talk about that. That was the weirdest thing about that game. They were just like, no, we're just going to run Richard Reese.
Yeah. And so, I thought, from the press box at first, I thought like, oh, there's Quaylon because it's 28 and 29. And then you realize like, no, that guy moves faster. That's Richard Reese.
Yeah. He looked great. Our true freshman. It'll be interesting to see. I tweeted he's going to be very good for a very long time. It'll be interesting to see if this Texas State game was an outlier for him, but it's tough to replicate 19 carries for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. So if they're able to run the ball and get Blake Shapen kind of on those rollouts and in space to hit some of those streaking wide receivers, it will be a close game. I just think Iowa State has been a torture dungeon for Baylor over the years.
TCU and SMU, I'm going to take SMU in this one. I just like the quarterback better, Tanner Mordecai. Maybe I'm a little biased because I did all his high school games, but he's a guy you cannot underestimate. He really throws the ball around the yard really well. And I think, again, it'll be a close game. These two teams don't like each other. There's a lot of history across both of them.
Yeah.
Sonny Dykes was at SMU just a year ago. All of that. But I like SMU in this one.
I just think SMU has the more talented team right now, and that'll probably go a long way. Again, it's tough to make losing to Maryland. Was that game at home? I believe.
No.
Or am I missing? Sorry. Great radio, but
no, it was at Maryland. They lost by
okay. So yeah, and Tanner Mordecai, of course, made some mistakes in that. I just think that he is. A lot of the times, it can come down to just having the more talented quarterback, and he definitely is. If you take that into consideration, they also have more talented playmakers. I think it may be. It's essentially a pick 'em right now, or it is even. But give me SMU straight up and just based solely on more talented quarterback play.
Yeah.
Is there a name for this game, by the way? Iron Bowl, Egg Bowl?
Iron Skillet.
Iron Skillet. Okay.
The Iron
Gold
Skillet.
Trans Am Bowl.
Yeah. All right, Kansas at Duke. I think you know where we're going with this. Kansas has too much offense. Kansas wins this one. They roll.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk. I'm never picking against Kansas again until I do. It is very funny because I said last week that historically it's two of the worst football programs in the history of college football going up, but that doesn't matter. That literally does not matter about this season. I do think Jalen Daniels is incredible to watch. It's kind of an unstoppable force. It is weird that when you have like a really dynamic running quarterback, how impossible it seems to stop in college football.
Yeah.
It is one of the true cheat codes, I think, in college football. And they started to trickle that into the NFL. But when in college football, it's like, stop biting on the fake. It's right there. And he was just all day against Houston. They kept crashing down, and he would just run right through them. So I picked them to do that again at home. College game day, you cowards, go to Kansas.
They're going to Tennessee and Florida.
Nah. This is the biggest game.
I kind of get that one. Going to watch they'll either get to watch good Anthony Richardson or bad Anthony Richardson. So we'll see. Tennessee and Florida up in Knoxville. Texas at Texas Tech. I think this is too much Bijan Robinson. I don't think Tech can stop him. And Royden, I don't know if people have seen a trend here, but you and I agree on everything so far.
It's early. It's tough because these teams also haven't, like, a lot of these teams haven't played incredible competition. Texas may be the only one that's played the sort of elite competition that we all kind of expect to get a determination of where they are. But I don't know what to say. We're in lockstep. So if one loses, we all lose, and we're just going to be pretty even on this.
That's right.
I think that, if they continue to run Bijan Robinson and dose that with Roschon Johnson, who, speaking of bias, I covered him in high school. He's like one of the best high school players I've ever seen play football. Then I don't know if Texas Tech has the bodies to even stop them, and they may be the walking wounded at this point as well. Be interesting to see if Texas defense can get in the backfield or if they can cover anybody, but they've done a good job of that kind of so far, and Texas Tech has been known to turn the ball over.
All right, by the way, Barry Moore, good morning from Australia. Love the show, guys. Hey, Barry. Good day.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right.
That is that is so far away.
Yeah. Good. That's the magic of YouTube.
What's it like in the future?
About the same as it is in the past, I think.
He already knows these picks, by the way, so thank you for watching.
Yeah. And final pick, Kansas State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma wins this one by a lot. I don't know what's going to happen down the line for Oklahoma, but I can tell you right now, I do not want to play Oklahoma. That offense is just humming already with Dylan Gabriel and Jeff Lebby. Just humming.
Yeah. You've got the elements of a Bryles disciple who's bringing that level of offense, and then you've got your defensive-minded head coach.
Yeah, that is a combination. That's a combination that we haven't quite seen yet.
The explosive. It's always been, Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby were two peas in a pod, I guess. So it's kind of.
Look, Ole Miss had a good defense last year, but not one at a school like Oklahoma. It's just they're scary. They're really scary.
That defense. I mean, look, these are Bill Snyder teams, so it's completely different. But if you look at that offense, historically had kind of struggled against Kansas State in years past. Now that doesn't matter for now because the Bill Snyder defense is completely different from whatever that they're running at Kansas State.
And I think Kansas State will probably slow them down a little bit on defense. I just think that on a bad day, this offense is going to score 30 points.
Right.
So on a good day, can Kansas State score 31? We haven't seen that yet.
No. And, a lot of people were saying that this would be a down year for Oklahoma. We're yet to see that. So, is a down year, one loss, two loss? What's a down year for Oklahoma?
And again, I wouldn't have been surprised if this team struggled to find chemistry and went 9-3, given the turnover that they had, because it's not happened to that program in 20 plus years.
Right.
Bob Stoops to Lincoln Riley was as smooth a transition as you could possibly make.
Yeah, Ryan, it's the same with Ohio State.
Yeah, this was not the same thing. This was a lot of turnover. Now, granted, they kept in the Stoops tree with Venables, but Venables, by the way, also a Kansas State grad, and someone that Kansas State has always wanted to coach their team, but that's never probably going to happen now. So
I think if Kansas State is going to have to throw in this game, and that's going to be very tough. Like I said last segment, if Adrian Martinez is throwing 30 times a game, you're gonna have a bad time. So I think if you don't get Deuce Vaughn going in this game, he's probably the second or third best playmaker that you're going to have in this entire game through both teams. So if you can't get him going, good luck. You have to slow this game down. You have to play at their pace, at Kansas State's pace. Otherwise, it's not going to work out well.
All right, that's going to do it for us. This is the Big 1-2 brought to you by Shorty's Pizza Shack. Thank you to Roy Ogletree. Thank you to Emery Winter, even though he's working on a different project. Thanks to Jack McKenzie, and, of course, thanks to Jacob Wilson. I'm Paul Catalina. We'll see you next Monday, everybody.